aka Mr. Shred with Masters of Shred, your #1 source for all your daily Shredtacular content. We're here right now at the beautiful Walt Vintage in Miami, Florida, your #1 premier vintage guitar and car destination, and we're bringing you a very special guest. It is none other than the Blues-Metal Shredsation, who wrote his first album, his debut album, at just 11 years old. I kid you not. Give it up for, hot off the release of his newest album, Polyphonic Prayer, Eric Steckel.
All right.
Thank you for coming on the show today. That's pretty incredible. Wow, I think followers are gonna really dig that. Dude, you're actually reside in LA and you're here in South Florida today.
I'm here.
So give us an idea. You know, it's the end of the year. It's 2018. You're winding down the year, an incredible year for you.
Great.
You know, you have an album that's done extremely well for you. So what are you doing out here in South Florida?
Well, yeah, so I got this Signature Knaggs guitar, and I've been with them for about 2 years now, and we just came out this year with my Signature model, and I'm down here doing sort of a clinic tour, hitting all the music stores that sell Knaggs, all the Knaggs dealers, and Walt happens to be one of them. And then I end up going to Orlando on Monday at Cornerstone, and so we're just kind of doing like master class workshops and intertwining the Knaggs endorsement in with that. You know what I mean? So it's been great, and it's just getting out of the cold weather and just being down. It's been great, man. People are great, and I love it down here.
Exactly, dude. And you're also you were collecting some amps for some gigs for next year, right?
Yeah, so I have like a huge amp. I have more amps than I have guitars. I'm like an amp nerd, you know, which is kind of the opposite. Most people are guitar.
Well, how else are you gonna get that tone you're rocking? You guys hear that tone? How thick is that?
I hope it comes through, guys.
It's real.
Alright. So yeah, I collect all these boutique like high gain amps and stuff. So I have some of them, I have them all scattered around the country. I have some at my manager's house. I have some in LA. I have some in Nashville. So I was picking up one in Tampa at my tech. He was biasing it for me and everything. So yeah, it was just kind of like a combination of clinics and doing some work stuff, and it's just been a great hang down here in South Florida. It's been awesome.
Glad you're enjoying it. Now also, I mean, you actually do pride yourself on not being more the typical players these days and age who will use, computers or samples or a lot of effect pedals to capture their tone or play live. You're doing it strictly by pushing the holy hell out of your tubes.
Yeah, I'm 28 years old, I'm a millennial, but my mentality is very old school, man. It's like, I just like a great guitar, a good cable, straight into a great amp with a great cabinet. There's just nothing, I don't like putting anything digital in between in the signal chain. And I also don't like degrading the signal chain. Like the more things you add to it, you're like taking tone away from yourself.
Exactly.
So I'm just very old school, and it just works with my hands. Everybody's different. Every player has a thing that works for them. But for me, I just play a very meat and potatoes style. My style of playing it's very muscular sounding, and it's just old school, and it's blues metal. So my rig is designed for that.
So I noticed you use a couple different heads. Mm-hmm. So what would be your go-to head for a typical show?
Yeah, this diesel Herper that I have back here, this is like a 200 watt, just flamethrower amp, fire breather. It's brutally loud, brutal sounding, amazing low end, tons of gain, but also very percussive, very articulate, not mushy or fizzy at all. That's kind of like my go-to. Normally into a Bogner cab. I like that combination of the Bogner. They're both German, it just works. And I pretty much can do most shows with just that and a Knaggs and a cable. So it's an expensive rig, but it's a simple rig. Nothing like goes down, nothing breaks. I don't have to put batteries in anything or step on anything.
Right.
So it's just sound checks take 5 minutes. It's like, is it working? Is it on? Yep, cool.
There you go. Yeah. I'm assuming though you're not going to use that when you're playing in your bedroom, or do you?
I can. This diesel, surprisingly, if you put the volume between like 0 and 0.5, you can actually, there's some sound that comes out, and it's like the amp is barely like working. It's barely even on, but you can actually.
It's limping, it's struggling.
It's struggling, but you can tell that it's actually better sounding than buying a practice amp. You know?
Right. Okay.
It's still got that beefy,
Exactly.
powerful tone. So. Yeah.
Well, let's just address this beautiful work of art you've got on here right now. This is the Signature Edition Eric Steckel Knaggs guitar, and they call this the Sunflower Burst.
Right. So basically the short story behind this guitar is this, because it has nothing on the truss rod cover. This was the prototype they sent to my house to see if I wanted to go further with the concept of a signature model. And they sent this to me, and I think the idea was that, they expected me to say, okay, let's revise this, let's change this, and they just totally nailed it on the first one. So I said, guys, I'm gonna keep this guitar. Just put this into production and just, put the name of the guitar on the truss rod cover and sell it. And that's what we did. Like, we didn't change anything about this guitar. So basically what we did is we took their guitar, they have a guitar called a Knaggs, which is this shape. But the Knaggs was a thin guitar. I think maybe it was about this thick. It was a very thin guitar. Not thin sounding, but thin looking. And I wanted to design something that was like a Les Paul killer, something that would make Gibson go, oh shit, And that's what we did with this. So we have like a thick body with, there's like hardly any carve in the back. It's almost just a flat back. And we did a satin finish because it sounds better and it looks better on stage. Tone Pros bridge, 2 humbuckers. It's just a bare bones beast. So.
Absolutely, dude. The guitars really are incredible, and somebody who plays a similar body style, that probably the same body style, is Steve Stevens of Billy Idol. You guys saw the purple one in black, so it's a very popular style. Back here we have the more strattier shapes, right? This is also one of your guitars here.
Yeah, this is my Severn X. This is one of one. They only made one in this amber burst finish with like the black tuning buttons and everything. And this guitar I actually bought before I had an endorsement with Knaggs. This is before I knew the guys personally. And somebody sent them a video of me playing it. They called me and said, we want to collaborate. And so within like 2 years, everything I went from not even knowing the guys to having my own signature line.
Exactly.
So it really blew up. Yeah, it's cool.
And there's no doubt, you've been playing from a very early age. You had some great opportunities come your way because of your insane proficiency with the instrument. So let's talk about that. John Mayall of the Blues Breakers. Eric got him played in the band. You got in there, you recorded with him. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so it's kind of a funny story. So I was 12 years old, and it actually started in Florida. I was in Sarasota, Florida, playing the Sarasota Blues Festival, and I was the opening act. I was 12, and I thought they always did like sort of a novelty thing at that festival and had like a kid playing the opening slot at noon, So half the people in the audience were there. It was still a lot of people, but it wasn't, it wasn't the headliner. But John was the headliner that night. And lucky for me, John pulled up in his tour bus to get like his hotel passes or wristbands or whatever while I was doing my set. But he couldn't see, he was behind the stage. And this is the story that I heard. This is the legend. He said to his guitar player, Buddy Whittington at the time, he said, I want to go hear this guy who's playing. It sounds good. I want to go check out who this is. Because he thought it was a grown man. He couldn't see me. So he walks around the front of the stage, and there's this like little 4-foot kid, with a huge Stratocaster, and he's like, what the fuck? What am I seeing here? This is not possible. So he runs backstage and says, well, who's this kid's father? And my dad was there. And John said, I know you don't know me. I'm John Mayall. Sorry to be forward. I want to take your son on the road with me and have him play on my albums. And my dad was like, done. And this all happened while I was playing. I didn't even know this was going on. So we get home from that gig. This is when I still lived in Pennsylvania. And there was a flight ticket in the inbox from John Mayall, and I went and did like a bunch of his European tours, and then I went to LA to his house and recorded on his 2005 record called Road Dogs. And we've been just friends, and sort of he's been my mentor ever since.
So this was all while you were in what, 6th or 7th grade?
Yeah, I was like, I didn't even at the time comprehend like what the hell it was just too big for me to get it. So actually now in my late 20s, I'm starting to get it. Like, wow, this guy John Mayall, maybe he's not a household name, but like there would be no Eric Clapton, like there would be no Jeff, like all those guys started in the Blues Breakers thing. That was that first blues, because the Les Paul into a Marshall Clapton sound was the Blues Breakers band. That's where it began. So rock guitar actually has to owe a lot of its cred to John Mayall.
Right, you were a part of that, which is
right. And the cool little fact is that Clapton was 17 when he played, and I was 13. So I'm still the world's youngest blues breaker, which is I'm so proud of that. I love that.
Well, that is incredible. And I almost have to draw the relationship again. You are to blues metal what Thomas McLaughlin is to shred, the by shred that we know.
Right.
Very similar stories. So it's always great to hear this.
Yeah.
These are going really well for you. So well that also 2019 is looking pretty busy for you as well, right? You're gonna be doing some stuff in early January.
Yeah, so this is gonna be my busiest NAMM. I'm gonna be there representing everybody. So I'll be there with Knaggs, Seymour Duncan, because we do Seymour Duncan pickups and all my signature stuff. I'll be there with Diesel, Wagner, GHS strings, and I'll also be so that's like at the trade show. But then after hours, we do like all the jams at the Marriott, the Hilton, all that stuff. And there's like a Seymour Duncan jam, a Knaggs jam. I'll be doing all that stuff with Larry and Doug Rappaport and Steve, all those guys.
Right,
so
exactly.
the Knagsters tribe, as we call it, Larry there.
Yep.
And so if you guys like loud, fast, overdriven guitar, don't miss these Knaggs events, because that's all, every Knagster plays that style,
Yep, that's where we're gonna have to be. So we're gonna try to catch some of those shows too, so maybe we can put them up on the page as well. And getting back to your plans for 2019, so you have NAMM. What about any new tracks you're working on, anything like that?
Yeah, so I'm probably going to do, there was talk about doing a live record because before I went to Europe in the fall, we recorded a live show in Atlanta and the tracks came out great. And I was going to release that, but I want to do new material. Like the stuff from Atlanta was all stuff I've already been playing. Right. So I think I'm going to do, 2019 or 2020, new studio album with all new material, and then we're going to be touring. So once NAMM is over, February I have off doing session work, but then March I'm back out on the road in the States, then I go to Australia, then I go to Europe, then back in the States, and then we're working on Japan as well.
Wow, and speaking of which, traveling in different countries, he's been to 25?
28 now.
28 now.
After the last tour, yeah.
Okay, and you've actually sold out shows in Belgium, Holland.
Right, the last tour, all the shows on the weekends we sold out. Like Budapest, Amsterdam, all the big cities, Hanover, Dortmund, Essen, all the big cities we sold out. The only shows that weren't sold out were the ones like on a Tuesday or Monday, like the in-between gigs. But all the major gigs on the weekends we sold out on this tour, which was, I see that as an accomplishment because I'm not playing mainstream, I'm not playing commercial music, I'm playing very niche music. It's blues metal guitar. It's not something the masses generally get around. Right. So to sell out major cities, like Amsterdam is like a dance nightclub. It's not a blues metal town. Right. So it was very cool. It's very it's awe-inspiring to walk into a venue and have it packed in Amsterdam. I was like, wow, this is badass.
So what country is your favorite country to play at other than when you're here?
Yeah, I mean, of course America because I'm American, but wow, man, there's also different. Germany is probably the most rowdy, the most wild.
Really?
The Germans love their rock. I mean, hard rock and metal and loud guitars in Germany, they're like, turn it up. Some countries you play, they're like, maybe in like Switzerland or something, they're more reserved. Can you turn the guitar down a little bit? In Germany, you're like, oh, turn it up, man, turn it up, And being of German descent, it's cool. It's like, oh, these are my people, It's really fun. Playing in Germany, I love it.
Well, I'll tell you what, it seems like you're at the forefront of this blues metal revolution music. You're kind of leading this trend. How would you define blues metal?
Yeah, so all I can tell you about blues metal is it's just an exact result of my childhood. So growing up, my dad had this incredible vinyl collection, and it was one night with dinner, he'd be playing B.B. King live at Cook County Jail, and the very next night at dinner would be Fair Warning by Hanley. So my literal childhood was blues metal. So my dad actually invented blues metal. You know what I mean? He didn't even play, but he invented
his dad.
So I got
Mr. Steckel.
Mr. Steckel, yeah.
Very good.
He doesn't look rock and roll at all, but he invented blues. So really, but the thing is, I think it's been going on for a while, but nobody coined the term. Like Paul Gilbert to me is a blues metal player. In my
Very good point.
Because his whole thing is okay, shred, but land on that sweet blues thing. And I don't shred the way he does, but my philosophy is the same. Okay, play a fast line, but land it on that sweet B.B. King kind of vibrato. So blending the sweetness of blues with the audacity and the balls of the shred world, And then my tone is very modern. Yes. So even though my licks are old school, my tone is very, very modern. So
the tone's incredible. I mean, even when you're viewing his videos from the phone on Instagram, you feel the bass and the deep end, that full blast of his riffs hitting you. and it's just totally equaled out perfectly.
Thank you. And all those videos, I mean, unless they're shot at like a studio or something, but most of the videos on my social media are just an iPhone recording. So you're hearing it on your iPhone and it was recorded on an iPhone. So it's not like there's any kind of like trickery in the studio and the amps aren't even mic'd a lot of times. It's just me, the way it is here, just me standing in front of my rig, and it's just, the rig just is dialed in so well that it comes across so massive.
Exactly.
And I think the simplicity of it is what makes it big. Like if I had a bunch of stuff in between the cable and the amp, it wouldn't have that low end because you'd be sucking tone away.
Right, exactly. I'm surprised. We have a lot of amp companies wanting to send you amps to do videos, I would imagine, because he's got the right idea. He can get this out of these amps.
Yeah, it's at this point, and just a little, I'm not paid to say this or anything, but a little shout out to my buddy Peter Diesel and Reinhold Wagner. Because they both have been very cool with me, because a lot of guys, they say, look, pick one, you got to pick a side here, you know? And they've been very cool with me of saying, you know what, okay, he uses sometimes a combination of a Wagner head and diesel cab, or a diesel head and Wagner cab. And they're both German guys, they're both friendly with each other, and they're both very kind to me. So I've kind of gotten away with murder a little bit there of using both companies. But it's because I support them equally. And that's why I get away with it.
And the funny thing is, you blues metal, it maybe comes down to your rig. Wagner and diesel. I think of diesel, I usually think metal.
Right.
But the Wagner, I think more the classic rock vintage sound.
Like a Steve Lukather kind of, yeah, exactly.
So you even got the setup that spells it out.
I didn't even know that. Like now, it's even subconscious.
Yes, you got that.
Blues metal, it's like my whole lifestyle, I think. I just live it, you know. Yeah, you're right. And the thing about it is because I want, and I think diesel amps, I think they get accidentally given this like rap is like, oh, if you play a 7 or 8 string guitar and you just do like gent and stuff, that's the amp for you. But like I'm doing like ballads with it and like beautiful clean things and like sustain. So I think their amps are maybe marketed to a too small of a niche. I think they can do anything.
Right.
You know, they do a very warm bluesy sound as well. So
there you go, exactly. So I'm gonna ask you a question we asked everybody that's on Talking Shred. How does Eric Steckel define shred?
Wow. Well, coming from a guy who admittedly is nowhere near the shredders on your page, and I can say that, and I want to say that because I don't want people to, I know people think this guy doesn't shred, because I don't. The thing is, I can play fast sometimes, but I'm coming from very much a blues background. But my approach and my mentality is shred, in that it's balls out. It's full on, it's in your face. So for me, I guess I would say shred is no apologies. It's just, you're not holding anything back. You're laying it all out on the stage. And whether you do string skipping arpeggios or you play like me, which is more the sustaining bluesy thing, I think if your approach is shred, it's a mentality. It's just like leave it all on the stage.
Not apologetic.
No, gain all the way on 10, literally. Like I'm over the top. Everything I do is over the top, and I love that. You know, and guys like Ingve are over the top, and that's what makes them
showman.
Yeah. So I think for me the shred part of it, because I don't have the shred chops, but the shred part for me is the attitude, the approach. So I guess it's a long-winded way of answering your question.
What was the one guitar you wish you never sold?
Oh wow. I had a 1964, well, it was either a Daphne Blue or Sonic Blue. I never got it like checked out by a guy to know exactly which it was, because it was faded over the years. But it was like that light baby blue thing with like a really faded like green pickguard, and it had the Brazilian rosewood, all that. That one I sold at a point in my life where I needed the money. And then when you start making a lot of money again, you go, why did I sell that? Like you forget the perspective.
Always how it works.
Yeah, so like with this new album, it did really well. I'm like, damn, if I would have held on to that Strat, you know. But I sold it actually to help produce some of these albums, you know. And I don't know where the guitar ended up at this point. I haven't tracked it. It's probably still in California somewhere.
Yeah.
But that one, the Daphne or the Sonic, whatever. I'm not like an expert on vintage stuff, you know.
Is there any new Signature Knaggs coming out for you? Any new finishes?
Yeah, so there's going to be one they're building me for NAMM, and it's actually inspired. It's cool. We're at a car place as well. It's inspired by old muscle cars. It's going to be a Shelby Cobra Blue with a white racing stripe.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's going to be very, because all my guitars you see are very vintage, so I wanted something more aggressive. So it's going to be the same specs, which, you know, the ebony fingerboard, the Morningstar inlays, the same headstock, all the specs are the same, but instead of like a vintagey burst kind of finish, it's going to be like a metallic cobra blue with that white racing stripe right down the center. So it's going to be, that's going to be a shred brew.
That's going to be, absolutely. We have to get some more videos on the page too. I just posted one up there, you guys should probably saw it. By the time you see this, it may be 2 weeks out or something so. But check them out. Where can followers follow you?
Okay, so just Google my name, Eric Steckel. Even if you spell it wrong, which a lot of people might, it'll correct you. And everything. I'm on every social media. My music's on iTunes, Spotify, Amazon, Facebook, webs, everything, YouTube, everything that exists, I'm on it. So if you can't find me, you're doing something wrong. You know?
Right, exactly. Yeah. And if you're going to be at NAMM, check them out. There'll be a lot of different booths performing with the Knaggs guys, Knaggs crew, Larry Mitchell, Doug Rappaport.
Amazing players.
It goes on and on. Yeah. Check that out. You can also follow us on at Masters of Shred on Instagram. Me personally at Mr_Shred_. And of course, we've got our website, www.mastersofshred.com. Got some cool merch on there like Shredding for Vengeance. Come on, guys. All right. And also, you can catch it on YouTube. Subscribe to our channel if you like this. I'm sure you will. How can you not like this? And we're going to get some more footage of Eric tearing it up here at Walt Grace Vintage. Which don't forget to follow them too at Walt Grace Vintage. Thanks so much for tuning in.
Thank you.